been injury plagued in last two seasons. This is not the 2012 offense, and Ricky Ray never really had a legitimate top-rated offense when he's a Toronto Argonaut. You can make a case of 2013, but I don't see that. They didn't have the Zach Clutch gene like Henry Bush did when he was a Hamilton Ticat. And I will make that strong case to the Hamilton Ticat fans. If they want to debate me or whatever, I do believe Henry Bush is still a legitimate quarterback in the CFL. But I don't think he is the starter level yet. Anymore, I should say. He's more like a Richie Cunningham. When he left Philadelphia, he became a backup in Minnesota, and he was an MVP. He was that most valuable player. He was a comeback award winner in 1998 when the Minnesota Vikings was one field goal short of going to the Super Bowl and landing no legitimate possibility of winning it. That's all I can say about that. He's nothing more than a Richie Cunningham level at this point, and just the same goes for Kevin Glenn. And I feel nothing but the absolute sorrow for Kevin Glenn because he had to endure the misery and the incompetency of those organizations that he was treated for in the past. He should have won at least the Super Bowl. It wasn't his fault that he didn't get to see a Grey Cup championship appearance. Not to say Grey Cup championship appearance. Let him a Grey Cup win, because he definitely deserves it because of his quality of play throughout his career. But unfortunately, that's the way the cookie crumbles, and the back cookie has crumbled from Kevin Glenn and all his dire career. I think the man's got to retire. If Hamilton does not lure Boris back to the fold, I could ultimately see Kevin Glenn coming back to Hamilton, in which it was particularly, that was his best years. Other than his years in Calgary, he really stepped up and be a true number one starter. He was subbed in the trade with Henry Bush. Before he got traded, I gotta go back. Henry Bush and Kevin Glenn. Bush went to Hamilton in 2012 for Kevin Glenn. Kevin Glenn was supposed to be, like in Hamilton, was the backup position. He was a primary backup, and without a doubt, he's the greatest backup quarterback of all time in the CFL, if not in professional football history. I'm talking about both organizations in North America, the CFL and the NFL. Kevin Glenn has an incredible resume when it comes to being a quarterback. It's just one major dent to his legacy is he hasn't won a championship. He hasn't won the Grey Cup. I think Hamilton has the tools, when healthy, to get into the Grey Cup. It has taken a nasty turn, really, tonight when my father went down. Because my father is the ace of the offensive line. And without your ace, and without your henchman, without your anchor of the offensive line, that's a hole, and that's a big question Hamilton has got to address. They need to assess their poor pass protection and learn on the one protection to start the game. It was as clearly evident as dry. There's a clear cut as dry. So that's all I can say about that. Going forward, the offensive line has been a general weak point. Unlike last year's, last couple of years, really, the large part of 2 years, the offensive line was really good when Collaros was at the helm. When Collaros went down, you have a different quarterbacks, and it tend to be completely different from Collaros. And without question, Masoli has a lot of struggles. He has struggled again tonight for the most part, except for the fourth quarter, which he locked it down. But all I can say is about Jeremiah Masoli, he's got to improve. Jeremiah Masoli has got to improve dramatically. He has to play like he did in Toronto. Not duplicate, but he has to play at that level. And so far, he hasn't played very well whatsoever. He has been very poor. And he still was poor tonight. I'm not going to overlook his, miscues. Albeit, he was heavily overwhelmed early and often. 3 sacks, in about 4 series in second downs. All of them in second downs. He could have had at least 5 or 6. I think he was telling him close to a dozen times. Like, he had his head cut off. But there were times he made really bad decisions. He had 1 turnover. But he made the plays down the stretch in the second half. But he was still relatively not a big factor. The Brandon Banks and the defense, and the Terminator-like rise of C.J. Gable, put this team in strong contention going forward next week. A great momentum going forward. But like I said for Jeremiah Masoli, he's got to get better. Or otherwise, this team will fall quickly. That I could say with great content. Like I said, let's conclude the Michael Willoughby Show, episode number 32. I'm your host, Michael Willoughby. I should say I was your host, Michael Willoughby. Next week, Hamilton and Edmonton. Until that time, so long for now. I'm Montreal.